kind of helpless.
Fires continue to burn, but evacuations have been lifted in some Panhandle counties tonight, with many residents returning to scorched earth. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
You heard him say kind of helpless. That says it all. Devastation across the Panhandle tonight as 5 wildfires continue to burn through almost 1 million acres.
Our KCBD teams are in the area tonight as the situation rapidly develops. Brittany, Crittenden, and Joshua Ramirez join us live from some of the hardest hit communities.
Let's go first to Joshua in the community of Fritch, where more than 100 homes are now nothing but ashes. Joshua.
Yeah, Karen and Abner, and we've been out here in Fritch for a few hours now, and I can tell you, as we were driving into town, we were greeted with clouds of smoke, plumes of smoke off in the distance that we could see from these fires. And here in the town, a lot of roads still blocked off, evacuation orders still in effect right now. And our first stop, actually, when we got into town, was at the Fritch Independent School District, where Atmos has actually set up a command center, because right now, all the gas in the city, or in a large part of the city, is still down, the water is still out, the electricity is still out. So right now they are working to get those utilities back up. And I can tell you, as Karen said just a bit ago, we are hearing that it could be up to 100 structures burned in this fire. At last check, the A&M Forest Service was reporting that there could be, or that there is more than 90,000 acres burned by the Windy Deuce fire, which is the closest fire to Fritch right now. So 90,000 acres burned, only 25% contained. But I want to talk more about the human element of this. I spoke with a resident earlier today who said that they lost everything in this fire.
It's kind of helpless. You know, we're just trying to gather stuff up, figure out what things need to be canceled, and what, you know, basically what we might want to do to restart.
And that is just one resident of many who are going through that same situation right now. And here in town, some of the local churches have opened their doors. They're housing some of those people who have been displaced by these fires. And a little bit down the way in Borger, the Red Cross has set up shop there. They're also housing people at the Borger Dome and asking for donations of food, water, snacks, first aid supplies, pet supplies, anything that these families may need over these next few days. And I also want to just take a second to talk about our crews who are out here. We're all wearing these masks because as I was talking about that smoke earlier, it is still thick in the air right now. You can smell it, you can taste it, it's in your eyes, it stings. And this is something that these first responders from all over the state of Texas who have responded to these blazes are dealing with this. So I just want to take a second to talk about how intense that is and kind of that aspect of fighting these fires, as well as our crews being out here to cover this and bring you all the latest news. So we are going to continue following the developments out here in Fritch. For now, though, I'll go ahead and send it back to y'all. Karen and Abner.
So many heartbreaking stories there. Thank you, Joshua.
And I think we're about to hear some more, because now we take a look northeast of there in Canadian, where Brittany joins us with the situation there. Brittany?
Hey, Karen and Abner, yeah, it's just devastating out here. We're southeast of Canadian, but before we get to this damage here, we do want to talk about some new news that we've just discovered, that we've just learned, that the Smokehouse Creek fire that started in Hutchinson County and spread here to Canadian, we now know that there was one fatality caused by this fire in Hutchinson County, that coming from a neighborhood in Stinnett. So we do want to send our condolences to that family there. Like I said, that fire began there and then spread all the way across 2 counties to get here to Canadian. We're on the outskirts of town where you can see firsthand the damage. The Hemphill County Judge Lisa Johnson, we spoke with her earlier, and she says she believes there are 30 structures, 30 homes that have been destroyed because of this fire. There are still hot spots north and south of town, but now we're getting a closer look at the impact of this. This home here, AgriLife Extension agent Andy Holloway, he brought us here, and these are some of his dear friends who lived here. This was once Connie and Benny Ruprecht's home. They've been here 30 years. They raised a family here. Holloway says they've seen fires here in this area before, but none with this much widespread damage. He believes the estimate is that 80% of the land across this county has burned, and he's also guessing that 5,000 head of cattle have died in this fire. Tomorrow, they plan to set up an ag supply drive where you can bring hay, cattle feed, fence and material. And he was already getting emotional when we talked to him earlier, just thinking about this outpouring of support that they've already seen and more donations that are likely to come in.
Well, to the people that are thinking of bringing supplies, we want to thank them first for their thoughtfulness. This area has paid it forward for a long time. There's good people here that love others, and frankly, God knows what's ahead, and He prepares people for such a time as this.
Set up at Canadian ISD at the middle school here. We spoke with the superintendent, and he says people have been bringing diapers, clothing, food items, non-perishable food items, just anything they can to help these families. We've also seen other acts of supports like churches coming together to feed these families who may be without power or without their home tonight. So along with all the devastation that we've seen, I mean, just driving in, you see the fields just all the way across, charred in black. Along with that devastation, we've seen people coming together through all of this, and that's what Holloway says. That's how Canadian is going to recover from this. So like Josh said, we'll be here and keep you updated with more that we learn about how this is affecting people and their lives. But for now, we'll send it back to you, Karen and Abner.
Thank you, Brittany and Josh. It's easy to get emotional, and as the grieving and recovery starts for some areas, the fire still continues in other areas to take homes and ruin situations.
And we will continue to have coverage throughout the evening for you, so stay with us.
Tonight we continue our coverage of the wildfires in the Panhandle, where almost 1 million acres of land and dozens of homes have been reduced to ash.
KCBD News Channel 11's Joshua Ramirez is in Fritch with details of the loss caused by the Windy Deuce fire and the resilience the community is showing. Joshua?
Karen and Abner, as we made our way out here this afternoon, it was immediately apparent that widespread damage had been done as fires continued to burn throughout the area. Residents here hoping that they can return home tomorrow, but for many of them, those hopes have gone up in flames.
It's kind of helpless.
In Fritch, many residents are waiting to see what's left once evacuation orders are lifted. Wildfires tearing through tens of thousands of acres, forcing families from their homes.
As soon as the fire jumped 136, they were telling us we need to get out.
Many left with just minutes to pack up what they could and get to safety.
Well, we took, few changes of clothes, our pets, important papers and that type of thing.
For some, like Bruce Setliff and his wife, the future is clouded by the same smoke that blankets much of the Panhandle.
We're just trying to gather stuff up, figure out what things need to be canceled, and basically what we might want to do to restart.
Many others in the same situation as they try to figure out what's next.
From what I'm hearing, I think close to 100 homes.
Fritch ISD Superintendent Jason Garrison says for many families, the fire has taken away their sense of security and in its place left nothing but ash.
That's, where you go every night is where you lay your head down, and sadness and just, the unknown of what's going to happen.
But he says this community has experienced tragedy like this before, and he knows it'll come together in a time of need.
We've dealt like this kind of tragedy before. Back in 2014, we had a fire on Mother's Day, so our community's been through this before, and so, we pulled together then, and I know we'll pull together again.
And Garrison says some local churches have opened their doors to those displaced families. And just down the road in Borger, the Red Cross has set up at the Borger Dome. They're asking for donations of food, clothes, water, first aid supplies, anything that those displaced families might need. And we will be staying the night out here nearby in Dumas, and we will continue to bring our viewers all the latest developments through the morning. In Fritch with photojournalist Peyton Toups, I'm Joshua Ramirez. Karen and Abner, back to you.
Thank you, Joshua. Meanwhile, the Smokehouse Creek fire brought devastation to the northeastern region of the Panhandle. So far, one death has been confirmed in Stinnett due to that fire.
KCBD News Channel 11's Brittany Crittenden joins us from Canadian tonight with a look at the outpouring of support that community is receiving. Brittany.
Karen and Abner, it's been a historic few days for the small town of Canadian and all of Hemphill County, but the outpouring of support has already begun. Right now, the Groover, FFA, and Methodist Church are out here serving meals to families, first responders, anyone in need. And this is just one sign of that support that we've seen all day.
It's heartbreaking. It is. But we've been through this.
While the community of Canadian has been through this before, the Smokehouse Creek fire has left a uniquely devastating impact. Texas A&M AgriLife Extension agent Andy Holloway believes 80% of the land in Hemphill County has burned. He estimates 5,000 head of cattle have been killed. It's believed 30 families are out of their homes.
They're some of the finest people on the planet. And it's truly heartbreaking because their home is a symbolic of what's happened all over the county here.
State and local officials are still working to assess the damage. Hemphill County Judge Lisa Johnson's phone has been ringing nonstop. People from all over are wondering how they can help the community recover. For physical donations, Johnson says to call first.
We appreciate the support so much, but we want to make sure that those donations match our needs.
Canadians themselves have already started donating to help their neighbors. The school district has set up a spot for this at the middle school. While families get back on their feet, classes are canceled the rest of the week. Superintendent Lynn Pulliam says employees are providing childcare, though.
You know, it's really overwhelming just to see that outpouring of support from, here in the region and really across the state and into Oklahoma.
Disaster relief teams from Pampa are here providing meals and hot showers for those in need. No matter how much, Holloway says any financial help can leave a lasting impression.
2017, we had a little group of 4-H'ers from Kentucky that sent us $9. And that'll just be something precious to me that those children put their own money together and they wanted us to have it.
The AgriLife Extension Office is opening a livestock supply drive tomorrow where people can come and bring hay, fence materials, cattle cubes, anything to help those ranchers in the area right now. And we'll be here once again tomorrow to bring you the latest. In Canadian, Brittany Crittenden, KCBD News Channel 11. Karen and Abner, back to you.
Thank you, Brittany. Stay safe. Well, communities across the South Plains are also coming together now to support our Panhandle neighbors affected by the fires.
KCBD News Channel 11's Parker Schaffner spoke to area businesses sending aid with your help.
Woke up and we saw the tragic news and it really broke our heart.
Natalie Huey, CEO and founder of Signature Stag Lubbock, says she felt called to help the victims of the Panhandle Smokehouse Creek fire.
Kept seeing over and over posts about what can we do to help, where can we donate things, and we wanted to be that spot that people could come bring it.
The business at 74th and Milwaukee Avenue is sending supplies to Canadian and Fritch with help from a restaurant in Shallowater.
We're actually partnering with Fred's Garage, and they are taking the items that are donated and taking them to the shelters, police departments, and fire departments.
Meanwhile, in Shallowater, Hamilton Farms is sending donations to another group in need.
We just kind of thought, as cattle women, or cattlemen, cattlewoman myself, like, what about all of these animals and what are they going to do?
Kyla Hamilton says she's joining her neighbors to gather up hay, feed, and water for farmers and ranchers.
Wasn't even a question for us to kind of share the blessings that we've received with those that have had it taken away.
Hamilton Farms has sent its first load to the Panhandle already. Its crew will continue to make more runs over the next few days to assess and help.
To the latest on wildfires still burning in the Panhandle this morning. A Stinnett woman has died as a result of the Smokehouse Creek fire. Family members identified her as Joyce Blankenship, a former substitute teacher. As of right now, the fire has burned 850,000 acres and is only 3% contained. It is now the second largest fire in Texas history. Crews are still battling the fire, but due to rough terrain and hard to reach places, it continues to spread. Meanwhile, crews continue to battle the Windy Deuce fire in Hutchinson County. Joshua Ramirez joins us live from Fritch, where residents are dealing with a lot of damage. Joshua, good morning.
Yeah, Angie, and that damage is seen throughout the city right now. A lot of these roads have actually been closed off since about 6 o'clock yesterday, and these state troopers aren't letting anyone into those areas unless they have a residential ID and they're trying to get back to their home to actually check the status of their properties. But yes, we heard yesterday when speaking with the Fritch ISD Superintendent Jason Garrison that it could be as many as 100 homes burned out here, and we actually have one a structure right behind me that was destroyed in a fire. You can see completely burned, a complete loss. The car there in front has been totally charred. So this home is completely gone. There's actually another one just to the left of it and one behind it. So I just wanted to point out how close the house, there's a red brick behind this white structure, how close that house actually was to getting burned down as well. And that's a situation that a lot of residents out here have dealt with as we've been around the city. Their homes, they're completely gone, standing or sitting next to homes that are still standing. So you can really see just how close this fire was getting to all these residents and kind of the situation that they were dealing with out here. I do have a little bit of positive news. We did see some posts circulating last night that the electricity and the water and some of the other utilities have started coming back on here in the city. And as we were speaking to a state trooper just a little bit ago, he did confirm that one of these neighborhoods did have power and water back, so a lot of those residents were going home late last night. As of the status of the fire right now, last check, the A&M Forest Service said it is still growing and went from about 90,000 acres last night last night to 143,000 acres this morning.
Some residents have been given the okay to return to their homes tonight, but sadly many have no home to return to, only ashes.
KCBD News Channel 11's Brittany Crittenden joins us from Canadian this evening, where many families are trying to figure out a path forward after losing everything. Brittany?
Well, Karen and Abner, we're standing here in front of what was once Richard Murray's home. It was built back in 1897, and then he and his wife moved it here about 30 years ago before they made a home and raised a family. Now, with one shift of the wind on Tuesday night, they're left with nothing but memories.
The wind changed all at once. I mean, it's just your hair was blowing this way and then it was blowing this way. And we knew that that was going to be a problem because all the smoke was really dark and thick.
He saw a fire started at the house next door and called 911. Moments later, the sheriff's office was forcing them to evacuate, leaving them with nothing but the clothes on their back. Later that night, they saw what was left of their home.
And it was real emotional to see what we saw.
The home they raised their two daughters in and made countless memories gone.
We poured our own cement steps and stuff, and when you get through, it's natural that you want to put the date and Amy and Betsy's names are on the door, and that's that's something that you do and you don't ever think about it until you walk up and look at it occasionally.
Now those names are covered in debris. 10 of the Murray's 13 chickens made it, but they lost 2 dogs and 2 cats. He says it's tough to know his family is only one of dozens going through this.
I've got a friend that is out shooting cattle now that got burned up too bad. That's tough. I've got another neighbor that lost 300 head.
He says the town of Canadian will recover. It will just take time, faith.
When you grow up a Christian and you believe, it makes you feel good.
And some West Texas resiliency.
You know that there's a good tomorrow. This looks like crap right now, but it's going to be better.
The Murray family is just one example of the many tragedies here in Canadian and across Hemphill County. Judge Lisa Johnson says the best way you can help these families start over is through monetary donations. We have several ways you can give at our website.